Welcome to Tech Tempo, your essential audio guide to the fast-evolving world of technology.
I'm looking at the calendar right now, and I honestly can't believe it is already Monday, February 23rd, 2026.
Yeah, the year's definitely flying by.
It really is. And we have a massive stack of stories to get through for today's deep dive, but I gotta be honest with you right off the bat. I'm looking at the research you brought in, and I feel like my wallet is already hurting just reading these headlines.
Yeah, it is definitely a, hold on to your credit card kind of week.
Easily.
If there's a theme connecting everything we're seeing right now, it's this weird mix of incredible speed and incredible cost.
Right.
It feels like we are hitting this ceiling where to get the next level of cool, you really have to pay a premium that we just haven't seen in consumer tech for a decade.
I mean, usually technology gets cheaper over time, right? Like, that's the golden rule. But today we're talking about a world where it is actually cheaper to fly yourself across the Atlantic Ocean to buy computer parts than it is to just order them online. That is a 100% true story, and it's honestly my absolute favorite thing we're covering today because it just highlights how broken the global supply chain has become for certain items.
Oh, we are definitely going to get into the details of that travel hack in a moment. And I use the word hack very loosely here. It's more like a heist.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're also going to talk about the long-rumored iPhone Fold, which is finally real but costs as much as a used car. Plus, we have a story about lazy hackers using AI to break into firewalls, and a desktop processor that is trying to hit 7 gigahertz.
Yeah, 7 gigahertz. It sounds like a typo, doesn't it? But it's real.
It sounds like something that would literally melt my desk. But let's start with this great hard drive heist. And you pitched this to me before the show, and I thought you were pulling my leg. You're telling me a guy flew from London to New York just to go to Best Buy.
It sounds completely absurd, I know, but the math is undeniable. This story comes from a Reddit user named Siktechik. He is a tech enthusiast based in the UK, and he basically ran into a brick wall. He needed serious storage capacity. Specifically, he was looking for 10 Seagate Ironwolf Pro 28 terabyte hard drives.
Okay, wait, 28 terabytes per drive?
Yeah.
That is massive.
Yeah.
That's not for storing family photos, that's for building a data fortress.
Exactly. These are serious enterprise-grade drives. Now, in the UK right now, the market for high-capacity storage has basically gone nuclear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, between VAT, import struggles, retailer markups, a single one of these drives is selling for the equivalent of about $980.
Nearly $1,000 for one spinning hard drive.
Just one.
Okay.
But if you look at the US market, specifically retailers like Best Buy or B&H Photo in New York, that exact same drive is sitting around $609.
Okay, let me just do the mental math here.
Wow.
That is nearly a $400 difference per drive.
Precisely. Now, if you just needed one, you'd probably just grit your teeth and pay the UK price. But remember, this guy needed 10.
Oh my gosh. So the price gap is literally almost $4,000.
Right. So Prick Chuck sat down and did the math. He looked at the $3,700 he would save by buying them in the US, and then he looked at the price of a plane ticket.
No way.
He booked a flight from London Heathrow to JFK. He booked a nice hotel in Manhattan for 4 nights. He even budgeted $300 for food and entertainment while he was there.
And he still saved money.
He saved over $2,000.
That is insane.
Think about that. He got a free 4-day vacation in New York City, ate at nice restaurants, bought the hardware, and flew home with $2,000 more in his pocket than if he had just clicked checkout on a UK website.
That is absolutely wild. But I have this image in my head of the anxiety, though,
Oh, yeah.
He's in a hotel room with 10 incredibly expensive hard drives. Did he just throw them in a suitcase and hope for the best?
No, and this is where the expert part comes in. You can't just throw delicate hard drives in checked luggage. The vibration and the cold at altitude will totally kill them.
Oh, right, of course.
So he detailed his whole process on the forum. He spent his evenings in the hotel room running diagnostic software called C-Tools on his laptop. He had to plug in each drive one by one and test them for hours just to make sure they weren't dead on arrival.
Wow, that is dedication. That's not a vacation, that is a business trip.
It really was. And then he wrapped them in layers and layers of bubble wrap and carefully packed them into his carry-on luggage. He basically smuggled them through customs. Perfectly legally, by the way, but looking like a guy trafficking in data.
It's a great story, but it points to something a bit scary. Why is the price difference so extreme right now? Is it really just taxes?
It's definitely not just taxes, and this connects back to the core mission of our deep dive today. We are in the middle of a massive global storage shortage, and you can blame our favorite buzzword, AI.
Of course. It always comes back to AI, doesn't it?
It does. Think about the massive data centers being built right now by Microsoft, Google, Amazon. They are training these huge models on petabytes of data.
Right.
Now, for the hot data, the stuff the AI is actively thinking about, they use SSDs. But SSDs are incredibly expensive, up to 16 times the cost of hard drives per unit of capacity.
Oh, wow. 16 times.
Yeah, so for the warm or cold data, the training sets, the deep archives, they need cheap, massive capacity.
And old school spinning hard drives are still the cheapest way to do that.
Exactly. So the data centers are just vacuuming up the entire supply chain. Western Digital has already announced they are effectively sold out of high-capacity drives for most of 2026.
That's crazy.
And global prices are up 46% since late 2025.
So basically, the big companies eat first, and the consumer just gets the scraps.
That is the harsh reality. And because most of those giant data centers are in the US gets priority stock. Europe and the UK are left fighting for what's left, which just drives the local price through the roof.
That is fascinating and terrifying. It's simple supply and demand, but on a massive global scale. I have to ask the listeners right now, would you do this? If you could save $2,000 on a PT build, do you have the patience to fly across the ocean for it? Let us know in the comments. Because I think for $2,000, I'm definitely packing a bag.
For $2,000, I'm already at the airport. I mean, New York in February is cold, but the pizza is really good.
Exactly.
Okay,
so speaking of expensive components, let's pivot a bit. We talked about the slow storage. What about the fast stuff? Memory, RAM, is that also requiring a transatlantic flight these days?
The DDR5 situation is a little more volatile. It's a good news, bad news scenario. We've been watching prices in Europe basically skyrocket recently. A standard 32 gigabyte kit, which is pretty much what you want for gaming right now, jumped up to nearly 470 euros.
470, that hurts.
It's brutal. But we do have a tiny glimmer of good news. Market data shows it is finally dipping. Prices have come down to the 370 to 420 euro range in Europe.
Okay, but that's still way higher than it should be.
It is. And here's the reality check. It's not an industry-wide drop yet. Domestic prices in the US are still high, so don't celebrate too early. It's just a little bit of localized relief.
So if you were building a computer in 2026, you're just getting hit from both sides.
Pretty much.
Well, if the desktop market is that depressing, maybe we can find some joy in the mobile world.
Yeah.
We have been hearing rumors for years, literally years, about Apple finally entering the foldable market. And now, for fall 2026, it seems it's actually happening.
It is happening. The rumor is absolutely confirmed now. The iPhone Fold is coming, and what's really interesting is why they waited this long to do it.
Let me guess. The crease.
The crease.
I hate the crease. Every foldable phone I've ever touched, you run your finger down the middle of the screen and it feels like a speed bump. It drives me crazy.
Apple apparently felt the exact same way. They refused to release a device until that was solved. They are using a book-style fold, similar to Samsung, with a titanium frame.
Okay, nice.
But the magic trick is this new hinge mechanism involving liquid metal and a stress-dispersing plate. The claim is that when you open it, there is zero crease. It is perfectly flat.
Liquid metal, that sounds very sci-fi.
It's a special alloy that allows the screen to bend in a teardrop shape inside the hinge so it doesn't get that sharp, permanent crease line down the middle.
That is the holy grail of foldables. But usually when you get something that cool, you have to give something up. What's the catch?
Well, there are two catches. First, the dimensions. The phone is incredibly thin, about 4.5 millimeters unfolded. But to get it that thin, they had to remove something pretty big.
The headphone jack. Just kidding, that's been gone forever.
Huh, long gone. No, they removed Face ID.
Wait, no Face ID. On a flagship iPhone. That's been the standard for years now.
The sensors were just too deep for that thin screen bezel. So they moved to a side-mounted Touch ID, integrated right into the power button to save space.
That feels like a step backward, doesn't it? I like Touch ID, but on a futuristic phone, I just expect the camera to know who I am.
It's a compromise. You get the perfect screen, but you lose the facial scanning. But the second catch is the one that's going to make you gasp.
Sounds amazing so far. I kind of want one. Is it the price?
Do you have $2,500 lying around?
$2,500?
Yes.
For a phone. That I'm probably going to drop on the sidewalk.
For a phone. There's a joke going around tech circles right now that I think sums it up perfectly. They smoothed out the crease in the screen, but they're going to put a massive crease in your wallet.
That is painfully accurate. I mean, going back to our first story, you could fly to New York and buy those 10 massive hard drives for the price of this one phone.
You literally could. And here's the kicker on the color theory. You'd think for $2,500 you could get it in gold or sparkly purple or something fun. But because the liquid metal manufacturing is so insanely difficult, the Fold is rumored to only come in boring colors, gray and white.
So I pay the price of a used car, and I get a gray brick.
Basically. However, if you want color, the iPhone 18 Pro, which is also being tested for the same launch, is rumored to come in a new deep red.
Deep red?
Yeah, a first for the Pro line. It's stunning. So it's a choice. Do you want the beautiful deep red, or do you want to fold?
Or do you want to, have money to pay your rent?
That too.
Okay, let's move from the pocket back to the desk. If phones are hitting $2,500, are desktop computers keeping up with this speed and insanity? We were expecting big news from AMD and Intel.
We were, but we have to wait. The headline here is really just delay. Both Intel and AMD have pushed their next-gen desktop CPUs at Zen 6 and Nova Lake to 2027.
2027. That feels like a lifetime away in tech years.
It really does. But looking at the specs leaking out for AMD's Zen 6, which is codenamed Olympic Ridge, it might actually be worth the wait. It is a monster.
What are they aiming for?
They are bumping up to 24 cores, which is a big jump from the usual 16. But the crazy part is the speed. They are trying to hit 7 gigahertz.
7 gigahertz. I remember when hitting 5 gigahertz was a massive milestone.
It's a huge jump. And the cache memory is massive too. Up to 96 megabytes standard and potentially 248 megabytes with their 3D V-cache technology.
Wait, 248 megabytes of cache? Just right on the processor?
Exactly. To put it in perspective, it's like putting a rocket engine in a family sedan. You're giving the processor this massive local workspace so it doesn't have to keep fetching data from the slower system RAM.
That makes sense. It's about efficiency, not just raw power. But what about Intel?
Intel is also planning a massive chip with Nova Lake, boasting up to 52 cores and huge cache. But for now, it's just a waiting game for both of them.
So patience is the name of the game. All right, let's shift gears to our final segment today. We've talked about AI making hard drives expensive and AI demand-laping data centers. But is AI doing anything else, perhaps a little more sinister?
Unfortunately, yes. Amazon just released a security report about a trend that is honestly a little chilling. It details a hacking campaign where a tiny group, maybe even just one single person, managed to breach 600 corporate firewalls.
600 firewalls. That sounds like a massive military cyber operation.
That's what you'd think. And they did it across over a dozen countries in just 5 weeks. But the report actually calls the method lazy.
Lazy? How do you lazily break into 600 secure networks?
You use commercial AI tools. The report describes this as a cybercrime assembly line. These hackers aren't sitting there writing complex custom code for each specific target.
So the AI is doing the legwork.
Exactly. The AI acts like a massive force multiplier. It just scans the internet constantly, looking for weak passwords and simple, known vulnerabilities at a speed that no human could ever match.
Wow.
Think of it this way. In the old days, a burglar had to walk down the street and check every single door handle manually. It took time, it was risky. Now imagine that burglar has a swarm of invisible drones that can check 1 million door handles in a second.
And the drones just report back which ones are unlocked?
Precisely. The takeaway here is that you don't need to be a genius hacker anymore. You just need an AI subscription and bad intentions. It's totally opportunistic. They are just rattling every doorknob in the world to see which one is open.
That is terrifying because it democratizes cybercrime. It means any random person can cause massive damage while they sleep.
It really is a wake-up call for cybersecurity.
Well, that is definitely a sobering thought to end on. But let's try to quickly recap this wild ride of a deep dive. We've got hard drives so expensive in Europe that they literally justify a transatlantic vacation to buy them.
We have a $2,500 iPhone that finally folds flat but ditches Face ID.
We have desktop CPUs from AMD trying to hit a face-melting 7 gigahertz, but we're stuck waiting until 2027 to get our hands on them.
And we have lazy AI bots rattling the doorknobs of firewalls all over the world.
It is a lot to process. But I want to go back to that question for you, the listeners. I am genuinely curious. If you had $2,500 of fun money to spend on tech right now, are you buying that folding iPhone? Or are you buying a ticket to New York to load up a suitcase with hard drives?
Or are you putting it under your mattress to save up for that 7 gigahertz computer in 2027?
That's the responsible answer, but definitely the boring one. Please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive.
And before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We usually think of technology as something that makes things cheaper and easier for us. But looking at today's stack, from AI inflating our storage costs to AI automating global crime, we really have to ask, are we driving the technology, or is the cost of the technology starting to drive us?
That is the big question. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Tempo. Stay curious.